Okay, let's get going. So, hello, my name's Amy and I'm the marketing manager here at Weparaplan. So firstly, I'd like to thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day for our first webinar. So the whole reasoning behind this webinar is to help you understand what an outsourced business like Weparaplan actually do, how we can integrate with your business and how we can enhance it. So I'll be your host for the hour, but I'll be handing over to a few of our team who will be speaking so you don't get too sick of my voice. Firstly, we've got Catherine. She's our head of paraplanning and she's discussing how we go about onboarding our new clients. Then on to Georgia. She's one of our senior paraplanners and she'll be taking you through our suitability reports and why we feel they set us apart from other outsourced paraplanning firms. Moving on to Troy, he's one of our paraplanners and he's going to take you through what an outsourced paraplanner can add to your business. And then finally on to Tony, who's Weparaplan Managing Director, and he's going to be comparing the actual cost of hiring a paraplanner versus outsourcing. Obviously, ignore the webinar title because we'd love for you to ask questions. This is a safe space, no question is off limits, so please pop any in the chat box and then we'll clear them all up at the end. And finally, this is being recorded, so you can share with anyone you might feel could benefit from watching it back, and I'll ensure that it's added to the website as soon as possible. Now, we have got people waiting in the lobby, so I'll just pause while I let Russell in. There we go. Hi, Russell, thanks for joining us. Okay, moving on. So Weparaplan have a foundation of clear company values, which everyone works to on a daily basis. So we're a team of 12 paraplanners and we all work flexibly and remotely, which helps us deliver the best possible outcomes for our clients. So our values are to put our people first. This is to respect, develop, and trust all our team members to their maximum potential. So this means being able to recruit and keep the very best people is much more about the amount of salary you offer. Nowadays, it's all about allowing your team to be the people they want to be and support them to work in a way that makes them happy while producing excellent work. So we will always be service driven and deliver extraordinary customer service to standard. We're a team of experienced paraplanners, and although we all work remotely, we talk daily about the best solutions for our clients as well as best practice. We will always have a quality-focused mindset and continuously strive for total quality and 100% accuracy. And finally, to enjoy the journey and make the workplace and the tasks as enjoyable as possible. And having a positive culture and getting it right is central to a business's success. It helps ensure those within your business thrive while simultaneously producing the very best outcomes for our colleagues and clients. Which brings me over to our first speaker, Catherine. If you'd like to take over, Catherine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Catherine. I am the head of paraplanning at Weparaplan. And just briefly, I've been in financial services for over 20 years. I started out working as a cashier in a building society, then went on to be a mortgage advisor. After that, progressed to be a financial advisor, where I was involved in selling products and writing my own reports. I then set up the financial arm of an estate agent's business in Darlington. I've done complaints within working with FOSS as well. And most recently, for the past 4 years, I've been a paraplanning manager, managing a team of fantastic paraplanners. So I'm going to talk to you about our onboarding process. So it's something that we basically truly believe that the smoother the process of onboarding you as a client, then the quicker we can get working on the relationship that we have with you. It gives us a chance to ease any nerves you may have or any concerns you may have with working with outsourced firms. So when we start your relationship with Weparaplan, I would be your main point of contact. So I'm somebody who prefers to speak to you, to pick up the phone, rather than email back and forth, because sometimes things can be taken a different way and it's quicker and it's more effective just to pick the phone up. So when you start your relationship, you'll have access to my number and I'll answer any queries that you may have. So to begin with, initially we'll arrange a Teams call. It'll last around an hour. I'll be on the call, of course, and you'll also be provided with a dedicated paraplanner, and that person would pick up the majority of your work. Not necessarily all of it, but they'll try and do the majority of the work for you. You can add anyone to the call you wish. Usually it's best to have the main point of contact, so somebody who we're going to deal with on a daily basis. So we'll get to know you, you can put a face to a name, just have a brief chat about your requirements. Okay. What we're looking to do is to be an extension of your business and make sure that we are producing quality reports that basically you'd be just as proud of as if they were completed in-house. So we want to match that quality that you're producing, so your clients have something that's fantastic for them to. So in order for us to do that, what we'll do is we'll run through exactly what you're requiring from us. Some clients at present will just ask us to do the suitability report. Others want us to do everything, such as illustrations, cash flow models, paperwork, research, calling providers, just to name a few. So it's basically up to you what you want us to do work-wise for you. Now, to make the job easier and less intrusive on you, we do request logins for your back office systems and all your research tools. We do understand it can be daunting as you're sharing passwords, but we're Cyber Essentials certified and all members of staff receive regular training, they're DBS checked as well. If you're uncomfortable with giving us access to things, you can provide things like read-only options, so we can't sort of do any trades or anything like that. We're happy with what you're happy with. If you've already got a process in place, such as somebody works in administration, collecting all your illustrations, your documents, etc., we're happy to support that too, whatever works for you. What we do initially is we'll set up a mutually accessible SharePoint, and in the SharePoint you can add things like your templates, your documents, anything else you want to share with us, like useful processes and procedures. And once again, it's completely secure. It's gone through rigorous cyber security, so basically nobody can access it. The people who access the files are controlled at our end. So you can provide us the email addresses of people you want to be able to add documents to it, and the same at our end. So if there's only 3 people working on the project, that will be all that will be added to the SharePoint. Okay. Just some examples of things you might want to add to SharePoint would be CIP, risk profiles, templates, useful training information, anything at all that you want us to access. If there's any issues, we've got our IT guru, Matthew, and he's always on hand. He can give you a call and run through any issues you may have with the setup of the SharePoint at all. Okay. Whilst we're on that initial call and we've gone through the setup and chatted about what you want to do, you might want to run through the process and procedures with us, or you basically might just want us to hit the ground running and contact you when we've started the report, whatever works best for you. And once you've trained us, basically we'll be responsible for training the other team members that are going to be working on your projects. The team itself at Weparaplan have a wealth of experience, so we can tackle anything that you want to send us. Various clients will send us annual reviews, all the way through to complicated bond calculations or IHT planning. So whatever you want us to tackle, we're quite happy to do that for you. Okay. When we've set up the SharePoint, run through your requirements and access the documents, obtained your logins, we're basically good to go. It doesn't stop there, so it's really important to us that you're happy with what you're producing, we're producing. Like I say, we want to be an extension of your business. We want you to be proud of the things that we're doing as well for you. We can have a follow-up call after your first case. You can provide feedback via email, whatever suits your requirements. People will have a monthly check-in with us. Some people will basically just send an email, yeah, everything's okay, whatever you have time for. So most importantly, we're onboarding you so you are comfortable working alongside us. We've found that the model really works. So companies have that dedicated point of contact. dedicated paraplanner, and we can help with your workloads and enhance your business. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Catherine. Now we're on to Georgia.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Georgia, one of the senior paraplanners here at Weparaplan. I've worked in financial services since 2015 across admin and paraplanning. So I'm basically going to talk you through our views on report templates and how we can help you to produce top quality, client-friendly documents that we think you would be really proud of. So here at Weparaplan, we believe consistency throughout the client journey is really important, and our templates can help you to do this. Our various team members have a wealth of experience in working with different report templates, and we have seen what works well and where we believe improvements can be made. So when producing our templates, we have focused on what would be the best for the client and have avoided providing too much information so that our reports are client friendly whilst remaining compliant. It's all too easy to provide generic reasons why for recommendations and too much information when using templates. This means that the reports are not engaging for the client to read, which could lead to potential complaints in the future. So therefore, when producing our templates, we ensure that we don't just regurgitate information for clients, such as repeating fact finds and client agreements. Our templates therefore focus on three things: client objectives, the advice and why it is suitable, and the possible disadvantages of the advice for the client, including things such as risk warnings. When writing your bespoke templates, it is important for us to focus on the FCA's new Consumer Duty guidelines. These set out the rules for good customer outcomes. Although these rules are currently being phased in, with the first phase ending the 31st of July 2023 and the second phase ending the 31st of July 2024, we believe it is best practice to include these now. So it is clear from the principles of the new regulation that the FCA want consumers to receive communication that they can understand. When discussing suitability reports, the FCA have said that they have seen good reports that are only 10 to 12 pages long, and they therefore believe that those over 20 pages should be reviewed to avoid key risks being lost. Furthermore, they have also said if you have a wall of words, it is unlikely to be read. We therefore believe that the days of suitability reports being written for the regulator and the Ombudsman are over. Reports are for the client, so adding information just in case doesn't need to be done. We ensure our report templates are client-focused, engaging, and interesting, whilst being written in a language that clients can understand, with no jargon, because now more than ever, we must be sure that fully informed advice is being given before clients commit to decisions. So I'm now going to talk you through some of the slides from our PowerPoint template. We think this is a really exciting, innovative way to show a client their financial plan. So we are really passionate about this, and I'm really looking forward to showing it to you. We understand that this might not work for all clients, and some would still prefer a traditional paper report, but we find this initiative works well and supports clients in their financial plan. We also know that suitability reports need to be durable, and these can be converted to PDF when sent across to your clients. So first, we have the contents page. We think this is useful so that the client can have a clear overview of the details and they can simply click the link of each section to get the details they need. Next, the investment review slide, which we believe sets out clearly for the client a review of the strategy they are currently invested in without using overcomplicated language and keeping things to the point via tables and bullet points. Then we have the fees and charges slide. As we all know, it's so important to show the fees and charges to clients in the most transparent way possible. So we've used a table and a pie chart, which we believe are easy for the client to look at, whilst not being too wordy so that the important bits get lost. Moving on, the cash flow plan slide, which has been incorporated to provide the client with a visual overview of their circumstances. We've incorporated a link into this document so that they can then come out of the PowerPoint and see the full details if they want to delve into that into more detail. And finally, the how to proceed slide. So we typically use this at the end of the PowerPoint so that the client knows exactly what the next steps are to implement their financial plan. So just to summarize, there are a few key points I would love for you to take away today. So firstly, our team have a wealth of experience at looking at suitability reports, and we know what works well. Secondly, our focus when creating suitability reports is to comply with the FCA Consumer Duty guidelines, ensuring we don't provide clients with too much information. And thirdly, we are really excited about our templates and believe they can enhance your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Georgia. That was brilliant. Now on to Troy.
Good morning. I'm Troy, and I'm here to talk to you about where we fit into the broader ecosystem and how we can help enhance your proposition. I myself have been a paraplanner for just over 5 years. It's a role that I'm incredibly passionate about. And beyond that, I've been working in financial services for just over 15 years. I think in that 15 years, what I can take away is propositions that put their clients at the heart of their business, in my experience, simply do better. Right, moving on to the goal. Delivering great advice and service to clients. This is what most people aim to do. This is one of those things that is simply easier said than done. Whilst advice mostly focuses on clients, service extends to a number of parties. What service, for example, is provided to the client? What service is provided to the financial planner? A question that you should be asking yourself as the business, if you don't already have the processes in place, is how are you measuring your service? How are you measuring your quality? We all know that advice and service extends well beyond an annual review. A simple meeting with the client is the top of that iceberg. What happens underneath? A lot of work goes into it that clients and sometimes financial planners simply don't see. And therefore, consistently meeting service agreements and compliance approval scores can be difficult, especially when workloads peak. Moving on to the problem. I must say that this is, or at least one of the many faced by businesses today. I can't go through all of the problems. Recruiting and retaining good paraplanners is not easy. This is not to say that it's the only problem in workflow. It is, however, one of the many barriers to maintaining and improving service. Work volumes ebb and flow throughout the year in financial services, with things like tax year end and August hot bank holidays. So, these peaks create backlogs that are not easy to clear, and they interrupt service consistency. Equally, staff movements. Staff movements also create these ebbs and flows throughout the year. There are two broad issues when trying to increase capacity, especially through recruitment, or so in my opinion. Firstly, do you have the data to make informed decisions around recruitment? I will circle back to this point to cover it in a little bit more detail in a moment. But broadly speaking, I'm saying, do you have the management information on your existing workload and cases to understand the resource that you require? And then secondly is recruitment itself. There are a number of issues surrounding finding and keeping good paraplanners and support staff in the current climate. First point, it is hard to find experienced and confident candidates that will fit into your team. Internally, bringing up people from a ground level or grassroots level is a very long-winded process. It works well, but it will take years. Short-term recruitment pressures in the market following COVID have potentially peaked, and as an industry, we may see this ease off in the coming months. However, we are still left with the problem that a large portion of paraplanners are in transit. This as a career is a stepping stone on their way to becoming a financial advisor. Moving on to the solution. Capacity, removing constraints from your processes. If I share a little bit more about Weparaplan and how we deliver sustainable capacity. So we have 12 career paraplanners that aren't looking to become something else. We all enjoy what we do, 9 of whom are diploma qualified. Between us, we have over 100 years worth of know-how. There's a wealth of technical, provider, and system knowledge. We have the added benefit of only working on cases. We don't have the distractions of the day job. We are used to picking up everything from scratch. It's what we do. We have a number of clients that we all learn on a regular basis. We offer a fresh pair of eyes. Because we're removed from your environment and from your processes, we can be a little bit more objective to the advice and how you achieve it. Finally, circling back to the data-led decisions that I mentioned earlier, we provide workflow analysis to help you better understand your work. This will help you, or this will provide you with the time spent on cases and can be broken down into any number of segments. For example, the specific time spent on a letter or research. We can tailor the categories to fit your needs. This data provides us in a better position to make decisions, so it would help you add context and quality metric, add context to your quality metrics and your existing timescales. Lastly, I've worked both in-house and outsourced, and in my opinion, this isn't a one or the other. It's definitely not a competition. We're in an extension. We are an additional service that allows your in-house teams to focus on their workloads and your own client interactions. We're here to enhance what you already do, not to take anything away. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much, Troy. Now we're going to move on to Tony.
Good morning. Yes, Tony Slimmings, MD of this brilliant company, Weparaplan. I've got the fortune of having bad fortune, good fortune, whatever way you want to call it. Bad fortune when you get to 59 and you're saying you've got 30 years experience, but it's good fortune, hopefully, for people who benefit from our services. As I say, been in this industry 30 years, been a financial advisor for 25. I've run businesses for the last 15 years, including financial planning businesses and outsourced paraplanning businesses. So I've seen both sides of the coin in this profession. And I think one of the things that really sort of comes up quite often when we're in discussions with clients is the cost of outsourcing compared to the relatively, that's how people see it, lower cost of employing people. So although I'm biased, because I think everyone should outsource, I'm going to try and sort of run through a comparison which I think gives a fair balance and hopefully gives people watching this some food for thought. So if we move on to outsourced versus employing, of course, there's pros and cons of employing a paraplanner, and I'll touch on them in a few minutes. I'd like to then go through the true costs of employing a paraplanner, comparing in-house and outsourced. Again, just touching a little bit more on the point raised by Troy, is how many financial planning firms really know how productive their paraplanners are. And I think this is something which I've really sort of learned a lot more about since I've been running this business that I believe I could have benefited from when I was running a financial planning business. And again, very simply, just to give you an understanding of the true cost of outsourcing your paraplanning. So moving on to the pros and cons of employing. I have employed paraplanners in the past. I was managing and employing paraplanners back in 1998. Even before it was a thing in the mainstream. And it was brilliant. It worked for me. I had a dedicated technical professional who came into meetings with me, sat with the client meetings, helped pull together the research, helped pull together the reports, really allowing me to focus on doing the planning. Everything that people talk about now is what paraplanning does. I was doing 24 years ago. And I've been an advocate, easy for me to say, ever since. And I've employed it both in firms I've worked in and managed. And to be fair, 90% of that has been in-house. I've employed people, I've trained them, I've developed them, and I felt that was the right way. I have used outsourced back in 2009 with, to be fair, quite mixed results. So one of my concerns was the quality of outsourced paraplanning, which is one of the things I hope we've addressed within Weparaplan, because I want us to be a paraplanning firm that financial planners feel comfortable using it. But there are pros. They're there when you need them. They're part of your culture. You can train and develop them to do financial planning your way. Obviously, that means there's training costs. There's clearly recruitment costs, even more so at the moment. It's the time that you have to commit to as an employer, as a manager, to training and developing those people, which again adds to the costs and the time. It could be seen as a long-term investment, but it could also be seen as quite distracting from your day job. One of the big things about paraplanners, and one of the annoying things that I haven't been able to work out yet, is how to switch them off when I don't need them, and to turn them back on and make them go twice as fast when I do need them. And it doesn't work. What happens is you've got peaks and troughs, as mentioned earlier, in workflow that has to be managed. And we have to make sure our business is on hand to help and support businesses when they're busy in tax year end, and when they're not so busy, and they're watching the tumbleweeds that blow by in August, and to try and balance the two. And the real important thing as well, which I think a lot of people do miss, is how long will a paraplanner actually stay with you as a paraplanner? As Troy has alluded to, many people come into paraplanning as a stepping stone. Many stay and it becomes a career for them, and I think it's a fantastic career. But there is always this desire to move on, to develop, to improve their skills. And the average, as we will see later, is probably close to 2 years for a paraplanner to stay with a firm. So if we move on to the cost of employing a paraplanner, just running through this, again, people quote me, I can employ a paraplanner for 40,000. And you can, that's the base salary. That's what they come to work for. The problem is, as an employer, you've got additional costs which you need to take into consideration. You've got national insurance, employer national insurance, you've got employee benefits, pensions. Typically, if it's an office-based role, you've got the office costs, the actual rental of the space, plus the desks, plus the paraphernalia of kitchens and other bits and pieces that people need on a day-to-day basis. And then you've got to spend the money on training those people. So I put the cost close to 60,000 rather than 40,000. I'll put it in a simple terms, that's 5,000 a month. You need to find every month to keep those people busy. So on top of that, I believe there are further costs. So if we can move on to the further costs, then what you've got then is the recruitment fees, the downtime, the bad fit. So if you think about recruitment fees, it's not unusual for firms to pay £5,000–7,000 to recruitment consultants to find a good paraplanner. The problem is this good paraplanner has to adjust to your system, has to adjust to your culture, has to fit in, has to be trained, has to be developed. So it'll take time for them to get up to speed, which all comes at a cost, because while they're doing this, they are not being as productive. And back to culture, if it's then decided by either party within the first 6 months that they're not a good fit for the culture, and it's decided that they're going to move on voluntarily or asked nicely to move on, then you've got to replace them. So you've then got a bad fit. So you're starting again. So the fact that you've potentially got a 2-year tenure and the potential for a bad fit, I would argue you've got to look at this and accept that you're not always going to get your recruitment decisions right. So the true cost is probably closer to 70,000 in my view. So moving on, if we then sort of figure in a couple of other things as well, which again, I don't think employers really grasp, and I didn't, is people tend to have the odd sick day, some more than others, but the average is 4.6. I think that probably takes into consideration maybe more nationalised environments, education and health. But by the by, You've then got to factor in that employees will, from time to time, need time off through ill health. And also as well, people don't always bring their full self to work every day. We all have bad days. And if you look at a sort of fairly robust survey, people were effectively saying they only really feel productive for about half the day. And the problem is, you ask people to work 9 till 5, you select the hours, but actually they might be the most productive between 7 and 1, or between 12 and 7, or fitting it around their lifestyle so they can become more productive. So that whole 9 to 5 office-based environment is actually working against you as an employer. So if we move on to see and think about the time, this is how we work it out here. So this is not me trying to minimize things. When I'm looking at how much productivity, how much time I've got to sell to the marketplace, for lack of better words, I've got to consider holidays. We actually pay 28 holidays here rather than 25, but most firms pay 25. You've got the bank holidays, you've got those lovely sick days, you've got the CPD training days for some people who get their 30 hours. I've actually gone 25% unproductive. I think I'm being very generous, but I'm trying to be as fair as I can to both sides of the argument here. So basically, we're looking at 165 days of paraplanning, 1,150 hours of paraplanning are available to you as an employer to try and now get maximum use of. So if we move on from there, £53 an hour. So when people balk at our rates, which is slightly higher than that, but not much higher than that, they're not getting to the point. They really are, they're not understanding the true cost. And the most important thing is as well, is you've then got the time in management, you've got the advertising, you've got the recruitment, you've got all of these sunk costs that you've got to find the time to do, which are not included in that. So if we then move on to the true cost of outsourcing, I've used one of our partner rates there, which is £60 an hour. So yes, we have to charge VAT, which is annoying in an industry that doesn't pay VAT generally. But even so, we are basically coming along and saying we want 82,800 compared to the 71,000 that you probably are going to pay as an employer. Difficulty is for you is knowing that how productive are those 1,150 hours, where we know how productive our 1,150 hours are. So my argument is if you're thinking about recruiting a paraplanner for the first time, you probably need to get yourself up to spending 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 a month outsourcing before it even becomes something you think about. And at that point, we could help you make the decision whether you flex with us, whether we help you recruit and train and develop paraplanner. There are options that way, but it is not black and white the same as going, I'm paying you £4,000 a month, so it's going to be better for me to outsource. So yes, I'm biased, but I do genuinely think people need to consider these costs before they jump in and start employing somebody. Thank you very much. That's my input for the day.